Kashmir is known world over as the paradise on earth. However, the Guinness Book of World Records states that the Kashmir is the largest dispute in the world. The Kashmir dispute has been registered in the Guinness Book of World Records as the greatest militarized territorial dispute in the world. The Kashmiris have been demanding the withdrawal of occupying forces from the region for over 67 years. They believe that the Indian forces' presence in Kashmir is the reason for greater degree of human rights violation in the region. In the Guinness Book of World Records, it says up to 1 million troops stare at each other across the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. Raja Najabat Hussain from the Jammu and Kashmir self-determination movement explains why he has brought a delegation to the EU Parliament.
यूरोपियन पार्लियामेंट के इस आखिरी सेशन में जहां हम उन बरतानवी मेंबरान पार्लियामेंट का शुक्रिया अदा करने के लिए आए हैं जो हमारी पिछले 5 साल में सपोर्ट करते रहे हैं, वहां हम मसला कश्मीर के हवाले से मुस्तकबिल की मनसूबाबंदी के हवाले से भी कुछ ज़िम्मेदारियाँ और कुछ दरख्वास्तें उनके पास लेकर आए हैं कि हमारी इस पार्लियामेंट के अंदर मसला कश्मीर पर बहस होनी चाहिए। आने वाली पार्लियामेंट के लिए और जिन जिन लोगों ने कश्मीर के लिए काम किया है, हमारी कम्युनिटी को उनकी सपोर्ट करनी चाहिए ताकि वो दोबारा तसलसल के साथ उस काम को जारी रख सकें जो उन्होंने पिछले 5 साल में शुरू किया है। हमारी तीनों पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज़ जो मेन पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज़ हैं, बरतानिया की कंजर्वेटिव पार्टी, लेबर पार्टी और लिबरल डेमोक्रेट्स के MEPs के साथ मीटिंग हुई है और इस दफ़ा पहली दफ़ा ये हुआ है कि हमारे साथ बरतानिया से ख़वातीन की एक टीम आई है जिन्होंने ख़वातीन मेंबरान पार्लियामेंट को लॉबी किया है और हमारी ख़वातीन की एक यहाँ जो कल के हमारे सेशन में मेजॉरिटी ख़वातीन तशरीफ़ लाई जो मेंबरान पार्लियामेंट हैं, बर्मिंघम से, डर्बी से, इसी तरह शेफील्ड से, फिर लंदन से, और मैं समझता हूँ कि अगर हमारी ये एक्टिविटी जो यहाँ हुई है या बरतानवी पार्लियामेंट में हो रही है, इसको हम तरीके से रीचैनल कर सकें आइंदा आने वाली पार्लियामेंट में, तो इंशाल्लाह मकबूजा कश्मीर की आवाम की आवाज़ को हम बरतानिया और यूरोप के हर अवान में ऊँचा कर दम लेंगे और जब तक हमें अपना हक़ मुतरदीद नहीं मिल जाता उस वक्त तक हमारी जदोजहद जारी रहेगी।
Timothy Kirkhope, MEP, former leader of the Conservatives in the European Parliament, Conservative team leader of Yorkshire and the Humber, said he has been involved with the Kashmir issue for over 25 years and has a solution.
Proposals here for Kashmir, and those proposals must be determined by the will of the people who live there rather than countries that claim their interests, as it were, but are not actually there on the ground in the way that the people are themselves. So they have to be able to, there has to be some self-determination. So first of all, that is the most important thing, I think, that there has to be an agreement.
Raina Shama Nazir, British Kashmiri Women's Council.
We're now getting more women on board, and this is so encouraging to see what we can achieve. More awareness raising will help strengthen their voices, and when they see this support, it will give them the self-belief that their voices too can be heard through ours. We need to all become ambassadors for such causes and create a supportive environment for them to realise their aspirations, and you and I are those ambassadors. So let's bring back respect, dignity, love and peace in the world, because together we can do it. We want to be able to say that we, the British, with the help of our European and British parliamentarians and the British government, stopped the suffering of the Kashmiri people and got them back their freedom. Now, wouldn't that be good to see it stated in the Guinness Book of World Records?
Anthea McIntyre, Conservative MEP for the West Midlands region.
Great pleasure to see you here in the European Parliament, and I'm especially pleased to welcome the Kashmiri women. I think you are doing a fantastic job. I really commend your work, and I'm very keen to do whatever I can to support. The education of women in a safe environment is hugely important. I'm pleased to say in the European Parliament women are well represented, and I think women have a great role to play in the European Parliament. So I hope before too long we see Kashmiri women standing for election and representing the UK and their constituencies, representing them here in Europe. And I do encourage all of you to keep up the pressure and keep up the campaign against violence and injustice. And I do really encourage you and thank you for what you've done so far. Well done. I think coming from the UK, you know, we're giving the potential of self-determination to Scotland. If they want it, they're going to have a referendum, they're going to have a vote. And indeed, we're going to give a vote to the whole of the United Kingdom as to whether they want to remain part of Europe or not. So that's after the next general election, the Conservatives are pledged to have an in-out referendum. So at every stage, if we're willing, and we are, to give people a vote, why not have self-determination for the people of Kashmir?
Shanaz Siddiq, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, PTI Women Wing.
We have very distinguished guests, and it's important to recognise that it's not a cause just for Kashmiris. It is a cause for everyone who believes in basic human rights. The reality is that the thousands of troops that we talk about in occupied Kashmir have been given the license to kill. They have been given, they have been legalised and been allowed to continue to kill people in today's just and, world. Figures suggest that from between 1989 and 2014 that we are reaching 100,000 killings, of which 10,000 of those have been gang rapes with women who have been molested. And Anthony just suggested that where a woman could possibly have the courage to go and report that rape, the reality is that she will be raped again, again and again. And we must stop that. The reality is also that yes, we have an important role across the world, but what we must not do is allow the Indian authorities, and she says quite rightly, Pakistan has a lot to do, Kashmir has a lot to do, but the Indian authorities have a denial. They have a denial of what is happening in their own state. And that we must stop.
Linda McCavan, Labour MEP for Yorkshire and the Humber.
So maybe it might be useful to spend a little bit of time talking about practicalities, a plan, strategy after the elections to raise the issue, and to hear from your side as well how we heard that India doesn't want to talk about it. What about Pakistan? What are they doing? How they what are the chances of peace at the moment, as you see it, of dialogue between the two sides? Because the problem is, as we hear on the Indian side, they just say, that is not a problem, because they have the status quo.
Emma McClarkin, Conservative MEP for the East Midlands.
We need to be mindful of that, and we use those opportunities to raise the very thorny issue of Kashmir. A lot of people want to not talk about it, forget about it, but I can tell you that Raja here makes sure that we don't forget about Kashmir, that it is on our agenda all of the time, and that we don't shy away from asking difficult questions, and that is what our job is to do, to represent you and all of your families, both here in the UK and over in Kashmir too. And we all work towards a stronger voice for the people of Kashmir, so that they can feel safe and for self-determination. And we will keep asking those questions on your behalf. So thank you for coming here and reminding us just how important it is yet again. Thank you.
Sabiya Khan, the chairman of Bradford's Muslim Women's Forum.
You are right. It's time for action. We've had a lot of talking, but we need action. And why is action important from the UK? Because in the UK, we see ourselves as champions of justice and peace and equity, and the Kashmir issue is about all of those things. And the pressure for change needs to come from the UK and the global Western community. Also, again, why the UK? Because the largest Pakistani diaspora and Kashmiri diaspora is based in the UK. So we have to take the lead and engage with the other diaspora in the other European countries, because they don't have the leadership that we have in the UK. And by leadership, I mean brothers like Rajasab, who have taken the issues to the centre stage in the global world. So again, thank you, dear colleagues from the European Parliament, for coming and engaging and listening to us.
Rebecca Taylor, Liberal Democrat MEP for Yorkshire and the Humber.
As was mentioned, I came to the event in Bradford and some very inspiring speeches that day. And the same points keep being repeated. This is about human rights, this is about self-determination. It's not about deciding what the outcome should be, it's about letting those people who will be affected decide that outcome.
The leader of the Britain's Conservative MEPs, Syed Kamal.
And the issue still has to be, what do the people who live in Kashmir want? And as Rebecca said quite rightly, it's not for us from outside to determine what the result should be. But, and actually, as someone from a party who bangs on about self-determination and give the people a say, whether it comes from the EU, and in Britain we've also got our own debate, as you know, about Scottish independence. We have to respect where people feel comfortable, what they feel their country is, and then we have to respect that. And we need to move on and simply stop this issue being football between two countries, and ask the people who live there what they want to do. And if we can get that as a principle, what do the people who live in this area want for themselves, rather than what others from outside want, and maybe we can make some progress.
Sardar Naseem Sahib, Jammu Kashmir.
First of all, I am clear to say historically Jammu Kashmir was part of South Asia, Central Asia, not South Asia, but over neighbor states, India and Pakistan, divide and occupied over Jammu and Kashmir. And we Kashmiri struggling for freedom from both sides. I belong to a Jammu Kashmir Liberation Front. I want free, independent Jammu Kashmir from all sides. But it is clear, one side, Indian side of Jammu Kashmir, the human rights violation, huge human rights violation. We condemn all this human rights violation, and we Kashmiri want reunification of Jammu Kashmir. Although I am a Democrat and I am not against any election, but we Kashmiri not any support of any election from Indian Constitution or Pakistani Constitution. We want to election under the supervision of United Nations.
Sardar Sadiq Saab.
Another side of Kashmir, Indian Occupied Kashmir. So India must respect human rights violations, what they're doing, they're raping women, then disappear person, mass graves. So there is so many issues in Indian side. So we request all the member parliament from the Europe and Britain, so we will do raise the voice against the aggression which is India's committed. Thank you very much.
Phil Benyon, Liberal Democrats MEP for the West Midlands.
You have to take the moral high ground, and you have to hold the moral high ground in relation to the situation with India. Now, India at the moment is just treating it as a domestic issue, which we have to try and shake them out of that. And I think it's going to take a lot of concerted effort over a number of years to persuade India that it's in their own long-term interests for a permanent solution to the Kashmiri issue. And if we don't engage India in this, they're just going to simply sit tight. And I think this is a reality. It's real politics. They're just going to sit tight and are not going to move. So I think for us, if we politicians, I think we have got to speak out. But we've got to speak out in such a way that we don't get the Indian authorities simply to turn their back on us.
Sardar Mahmood Iqbal, Vice President of Jammu Kashmir People's Party.
There are 3-4 points which were discussed today as a Kashmiri community members. The right of self-determination which was promised with the Kashmiris 66 years back. I think this is not only the duties of Kashmiris, they are writing and they are fighting for the right of self-determination. I think that this is also the duty of the Western world, because they promised at that time that there will be plebiscite in Kashmir, which Kashmiris are still waiting from 66 years. So I think this is the right of the Kashmiris. This is the duty of the whole world to help Kashmiris to solve the problem of the Kashmir. And as a member of the Kashmiri community, I thank Mr. Raja and their organization that they are trying to get help from the peoples, and I'm thankful to the MEPs that they are trying to help Kashmiris. We are very thankful to them. We are hoping for their coming election that they will be again in the member of British, member of European Parliament, and we will hope in the future as well that they will help Kashmiris and they will try to reduce the problems of the Kashmiris. Thank you very much for all of you.
So I think this issue should be resolved, and we should have support from parliamentarians, not only those parliamentarians, but if you parliamentarians will ask those people from other countries like European countries and in your respective groups, I think we can have more support from other countries as well. At the moment, we appreciate we have got support from British MEPs only, but we need support from other country parliamentarians. And I would like to request my brothers from Brussels that you should ask your local MEPs as well from Brussels and also European countries to raise our issue and join the forces of British MEPs, because at the moment it's British MEPs only support us.